I wouldn't say that I'm so close to my parents that I talk to them about struggles and dating, and definitely not sex.
I have moments where I really am self-doubting myself, and sometimes I feel like I'm losing grasp of who I am.
We drink wine, and I think that there have been nights where like that kind of relaxes things, and so we'll share lots of wine nights with my family where we'll just kind of chat and it makes you more relaxed.
Very proud of us.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Dear ABG, where we answer your listener-submitted questions. If you haven't heard of us already, we're a podcast called ABG Asian Boss Girl. I'm Janet.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Helen.
Before we get started on your submitted questions, we're gonna kick it off with a fun question that we have for each other. So ladies, today's question is, would you rather be able to copy and paste in real life or undo in real life?
My first answer that comes to mind is I'd rather copy and paste. Because I think undo, I think of, I don't have any regrets in life. I do think you learn from everything that you go through. So copy and paste seems more fitting for that type of answer. How about you both?
I just remember this quote from, hold on, let me find it. Okay. LeBron James, he said this, okay? He said, I'm only one guy. If I could clone myself, we'd be all right, but I can't. And I was like, damn, that's cocky. But I will say though, not that I think I'm the best person alive and that's why I want to copy myself, but I want to be able to do like half the work and have twice as much fun. So that's why I would copy and paste. Same answer for not undoing. We don't need to undo anything in life, y'all. Just, learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I had the same answer, and mostly because I think if I had the opportunity to undo, I could see myself getting caught in cycles of constantly undoing and undoing. It's like, when is it ever going to be perfect, right?
Yep.
So I'd rather just not have that option, and then, copy and paste instead. And I feel like there's so much you could do with the copy and paste. Like Helen was saying, you can get twice as much done in half the time. You could, I don't know, like
you can go on 2 dates.
Yeah.
All right, so our first question comes from a listener who wants to remain anonymous. And this person has asked, hi, I was wondering how close are you guys to your parents? Are you guys friendly and talk about personal stuff like struggles, dating, and sex? Do you have tips on how to open up to your parents more? How did you guys open up to your parents? By the way, I really enjoy listening to your podcast. Thanks.
Well, hello, Anonymous. I wouldn't say that I'm so close to my parents that I talk to them about struggles and dating, and definitely not sex. But I call them every day. So I do feel connected to them, maybe not as close. And I think it is still a little bit more of a work in progress now than it has been for the past 3 decades of my life, only because now I find myself investing more in myself and my identity and where I've come from, and that connects me to my parents a little bit more. It makes me care about them, and their story a little bit more too. And I think that my parents watch Dear ABG, so hello, Mom!
Ai hao, susu hao.
Yikes. SEX. And I think slowly also I've been wanting to learn things that my mom does in anticipation of me becoming a mom, crossing my fingers, hopefully sometime in the near-ish future, but learning how to make Chinese soup and tea and herbal tea and all of this stuff. So I've been calling her and FaceTiming her for instructions, and I think that's a way for us to also get closer the older I become. Yeah. How about for you ladies?
That's really nice. I think it's interesting because I think Helen and I are very close with our families, both but in very different ways. So our family is not like a phone. We're just not really texters and phone people. But because they're in Southern California, I do visit them every other weekend. So I'll see them. We're not frequently in each other's lives on a day-to-day basis, but every 2 weeks we get together and we'll have meals together. And I would say when I was younger, my parents had kind of the sex talk with me more out of health, when it was very dry. It wasn't, it was very clinical and kind of just more make sure you know things and you're protecting or whatever it is. But we don't kind of in a more relaxed way discuss it, right? But as I've gotten older, I have gotten closer with my parents in terms of being able to share more with them. And I do feel like our relationship has evolved as my sister and I have both become more adults, and I will talk to them more seriously about some of my career concerns, or if I do have struggles in like, you know, like friendships, and when I'm in relationships, I will share it with them, you know, when there's like a significant something happening, whenever that happens. And I don't know if I wouldn't say this is advice, but I would say personal experience that this has helped our family too. We drink wine, and I think that there have been nights where like that kind of relaxes things, and so we'll share lots of wine nights with my family where we'll just kind of chat, and it makes you more relaxed. How about you, Mel?
I will say that I actually am really close to my mom. But thinking back, I wasn't always close with my mother. And so it all happened when me and my first boyfriend from high school broke up, and actually was back at home going to community college. So I spent more time with my mom because I was living at home. And I think naturally I was given this time back that I didn't have because I was really attached to my ex-boyfriend. Actually, the talk of me saying I want to break up with my ex-boyfriend is what opened up everything with conversations with my mom. And I think she saw that I was opening up to her about my personal life, so she felt, okay, she's letting me in. And I think ever since then, we've been really close. So I do talk to my mom about like dating. She has a lot of fun asking me how that date go and what dating apps are you on. And I don't talk about sex. That's still off limits because, ew, that's weird. But I do open up to my mom about my struggles, mental health struggles and things like that. And it is hard to bring it up to her, but I think for me, I rather bring it up to her so she understands what I'm going through and has perspective, and we just build a stronger bond that way. I think this is a little bit, it's different because I think my mom is a little bit more westernized because she did come here when she was 14. And her personality, if you meet her, she's very like, what's going on with your life or what's happening? She's very inquisitive. So I think naturally her being that way, I formed a natural bond. She's like that with my little brother too. And advice I would give to maybe for you to develop that relation with your parents is like maybe carve out specific time with them. Like I think Janet said, for her family, it's like, you know, having wine and talking, or Helen, you know, talking to her mom, asking for recipes. I think for me, with my family, it's like setting intentional time to go to dinner, saying, hey, I want to take you out to dinner. And you already know food is like the language of love in the Asian household. So maybe just saying, hey, tell your parents, I really want us to go to dinner tonight, or I want to cook you something. I think that showing intention, they'll be like, oh wow, they actually want to open up to me, and that will maybe result in a really a loving, formative relationship with your parents.
So now we're gonna play our listener submitted question. This is from Becky, and she is from Philly. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. Philly.
Hi ABG, it's Becky from Philly. I love the work you girls do and continue to do for our community. So question, 2020 has been a really strange year to say the least. Can you all recall one of the most difficult moments and also one of the most proudest moments of the year so far? All right, take care of you girls. Bye-bye.
Ooh, Becky, okay. You're helping us reflect before the end of the year, which is good. It's been a really challenging, 6 months now since we've been in quarantine. So I would say my most difficult thing that I experienced this year was probably the beginning of quarantine. I live alone, and so that was really hard for me as someone who also sees my family almost on a weekly basis, and then sees friends, like we would usually work together on like multiple times a week. So to have all of that just kind of like suddenly taken away for a good, like, I think it was a month and a half to 2 months where I literally we didn't see anyone, and it was only through video chats and phone calls, and at the same time, you know, there was no clarity on what was happening. So it's very easy for your mind to just kind of go wandering, right? And just kind of have like lots of anxiety and feel really, really kind of alone. But you know, we've gotten out of that phase, and now it's kind of like adjusting to the new normal. Proudest thing this year. So we recently realized that we surpassed one of our big goals for ABG. That goal involved multiple other sub goals.
Yeah.
So that was really exciting. How about you, ladies?
2020 definitely has been a challenging year, like you said. I think my difficult moment for me, it's kind of like accumulation of like shelter in place. But I feel like I think due to us, you know, obviously being shelter in place, I am not getting the type of like experiences that I usually get that nourishes me. And I think due to that, I have moments where I really am self-doubting myself, and sometimes I feel like I'm losing grasp of who I am. On top of that, feeling lonely because, you know, I do have a roommate, which is great, but I'm also single, which I love being single, but I miss doing the things I can do single outside of shelter in place. That's what the activities I really miss is like going to the movies and all this stuff. I don't have that anymore, so I feel like a part of me is sometimes missing. I think that was a difficult time because it's kind of like an identity crisis. Like, who am I? Like, what do I need anymore? But I just realized I just need to give myself more self-love and words of affirmation, and that's just something I'm working through still. Proudest moment is also ABG related. I don't know why. I just keep thinking about when we launched merch. Like the moment when we announced it, there's this anticipation. Speaking of merch, Janet is wearing our Badges ABG tee. You can find it at asianbossgirl.myshopify.com up there. But I just remember the moment we launched, and we when the orders started coming in, I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy, because I think sometimes like we create merch with our designer, we don't know how it's gonna do, but seeing you listeners being so receptive is just like, I feel like we're so lucky to have such a like invested group of people that believe in us and like want to own part of our brand. Thank you so much for the support. That has definitely been a highlight of the year.
I think for me, the scariest moment of 2020 was leaving my job.
Oh yeah.
Like, what the heck? I thought that was last year by now, but it was only March, so only a few months ago now. And that was for sure like probably the scariest thing of like the freaking decade, if anything, right? To leave something that was fairly lucrative, that was stable, with benefits, which is super nice for any of you out there with benefits, because we don't have benefits not yet, okay? But to leave that, and also right before a pandemic, is actually a very scary ordeal, and we all had to deal with this, and that was for sure the scariest thing of 2020. I think the proudest moment, similar to what these ladies have said, working on ABG full-time, over 40 hours a week, we did have a goal that was set for Q4, end of 2020, and we beat it by Q3. And as the unofficial CFO of this company, I'm just saying, okay, because I do all the finances, I'm like so happy. Like, these ladies know whenever I give like our monthly reports, they're good, trust me. But I'm like so happy that we beat it, because at the beginning of the year, I was like, there's no way this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And the fact that we did, it's like, whoa. It is the fact that we are constantly getting opportunities and we are growing.
Yeah.
And that is reflected in the numbers and by the people that want to work with us and the people that we want to work with. It's like a mutual thing. And it just feels so good that is something that we've been able to create out of our own heads and our own hands, and our voices, I guess. But it's pretty dope. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Very proud of us.
Yeah.
Ooh, we sweaty.
Yeah. Like, I didn't bring deodorant. And that concludes this episode of Dear ABG. Thank you so much for joining us. If you guys want to leave us a voicemail or have a question you want us to answer, you can do so. And right here in the link in the description box down below.
And if you haven't already, check out our most recent episode. We are a podcast, Asian Boss Girl. Again, you can find us on all the podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those good things, and leave us a rating and review there, and leave us a comment and a rating below as well. A little thumbs up, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. It's all good. All right. All right. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Wow, we're like, is twinning too hard?
So ladies, today's question is, shit.
If you have a question for us or want to leave a voicemail, you can do so in the description box. Nope. You can do so in the link in bio. No, that's Instagram.
And if you haven't already, check out our podcast, Copy and Paste. Not just copy.
And paste.
Thank you.